All right, I'm back, I think. Make sure everything's on. All right. Excuse me. Okay. Well, excuse me. Sorry. Got a lot done. I got his little eyebrows. They're not sewn on yet. Here are his final eyes, which are not, they're dry, but they're not attached yet. So I'm going to sew on his eyebrows and his little bags, and then I'm going to glue his eyes in, and I think his head will be done. I'm going to make his tongue as well, so I can do it all in the next hour. I'd like to get his head done because I'm not sure when I'll have time to do his body. So it'd be nice to at least have one half of him done. Maybe I'll go over to a thrift store and see if I can find a mint turtleneck that can alter for this thing. I also remembered that I had the hey, how's it going, Chase? Also remembered that I had the Swedish Chef body too that I can try. I'm having a hard time reading this. Of Melonpool, of all the main cast of Melonpool, who is your most favorite, including Jalea? Oh, well, I'll tell you, the most fun one to write is Ralph. And Mayberry, everybody says, is me. So those are right out there. I do enjoy Jalea a lot. She's a lot of fun to come up with bits for. She's also the only character of the batch. Well, I guess Ralphie kind of is too. That I created as an adult. Like a lot of the Melonpool characters started when I was 6 years old. Well, Mayberry did, and Sam to some extent did. And then Ralph and Sammy came along when I was about third grade, so they've been around for a long time. I'd have to say probably Ralph is my favorite character to write for, just because I can. He's probably in temperament the closest to me. Not really, but he's all the things I'd like to say a lot of the times. I've been thinking a lot about doing some Melonpool strips tomorrow. I don't know if I'll do it or not, but I've been thinking about it again. Thanks to you. Oh, there are so many. I haven't really kept up with what strips there are now. Um, there, I think that I have a real hard time with some of those legacy strips that, I loved Hagar the Horrible when I was younger and stuff, and I even liked it after his son took it over. But I mean, it's been going forever, and it's a place that somebody else could have that be a little bit more, I guess, current. I don't know. I loved comic strips. I loved writing them. I loved reading them. I mean, I loved Calvin and Hobbes. That was like the biggest thing. But as the years have gone by, there's so few that even evoke that anymore. It's hard to even think of it as the same art form. I guess any of those old ones that are so far out of time, like High and Lois, and I don't even know if that one's still running. Okay, well, I got one eyebrow on. Uh, Ever thought it's Garfield? Yeah, I love Mother Goose and Grimm. Yeah, the thing about it though is it's still the original artist, isn't it? Isn't it still Mike Peters? I mean that goes a long way to helping out. I also think some of the stuff Burke Breathitt is doing with Bloom County is still pretty interesting. I mean, there's a strip that never says die, you know. I loved Garfield when I was a kid, and I can still, still draw a lot of those characters from, Garfield and stuff. Oh, I just messed that up. From memory, but the I just don't think the writing is what it used to be. Kind of a comic snob. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if it's in limbo. I think he actually ended it quite a while ago. I think the characters are still going on in Dumbing of Age. I think he still runs. I think Joyce and Walkie are still in that one, which in turn I think is kind of a remake of Roomies. It's hard to say. I mean, I still see some of these comics like that came up with me that are still running. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this thing tacked down. Okay. Oops, well, that didn't go in there. Guess I'll have to redo that one. Sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just 1 second here. I think it's pretty weird how they never went back to Garfield's sister strip, U.S. Acres. Very interesting how they abandoned it and wiped off the characters. I'll tell you what, the biggest thing that was weird about Garfield is how Lyman just disappeared. You know, it's like I was always fascinated by Lyman. I don't know if you've gotten to those strips yet. But yeah. I enjoyed Lyman quite a bit. Yeah, we never had U.S. Acres in my paper. I saw the show on the Garfield and Friends show. They had U.S. Acres. Was that on Doc Boy's farm or John's parents' farm? Was that how they tied into Garfield? Okay. No, they just randomly cut to the farm. Oh, yeah, probably. No, there never was. The other thing I never did was all their kind of fish out of water stuff. They like I love the joke that they would just walk around with those stupid hats on and nobody would even notice. I very rarely did any jokes about them actually being Martians or aliens or whatever. Yeah, I never did any jokes like that. It just didn't. It seemed like the low hanging fruit. It was more about like how I was in high school. I mean, I was really into Star Trek and Star Wars and stuff like that, and felt kind of alienated, I guess, and that would be where it all came from. Yeah, when I did those Lyman strips, I ended up on the Garfield Wikipedia page for a while for having figured out what happened to Lyman, and then I think somebody from Garfield realized it wasn't a true attribution, and they took me off. I always thought that was funny. I think that was pretty close to being the heyday of my, like when I had 8,000 people reading it. I mean, that would have made too much sense to have Doc Boy being the owner of U.S. Acres. I'm sure they didn't want to make it too confusing to people who had never heard of Garfield, whoever that was, whoever that one person was. We didn't actually have Garfield in my paper when I was a kid. It didn't come along, I think, till I was about second or third grade. And I had read I think about four of the books had come out at that point, and I had all of them. I was obsessed with Garfield. Um, in fact, Ralph and Sammy kind of were created when I was really obsessed with Garfield, and you can kind of see their influence on their designs quite a bit. And Mayberry got his major redesign when the Smurfs came along. I was really into the Smurfs. That's where he got his eyes, and then the eyes got bigger and bigger. Home stretch. Yeah, I can't remember. I think that's either in book 4 or book 5. I think it's the end of book 4. I could be wrong about that. It's another time travel story. Yeah, I have Mayberry right here. Here's the Mayberry puppet. Hey, Chase. How's it going? And I got him right here, and I got Sam right there. I got a really old Ralph, too. Yeah, one of these days I'm going to rebuild Ralph. I've only been saying I'm going to do that for, 10 years, 12 years since he got stolen. Okay, well, those are both on now. Okay. Yeah, this is the Ralph. This isn't the Ralph from the 90s. This is from 2001. He's in pretty rough shape. Yeah. But yeah, he's in desperate need of repair, but this is the only one I have. I got Sammy over on the other wall, I think. Make at least one strip where one of your characters is killed. I'm like, nah. No, I never would do something like that. I might put him in a bad light somehow, accuse him of murder or something. I don't know. It's a pretty tame strip. Melonpool is. Okay. There goes nothing. What'd you say here? Joke about Ralphie asking future Roberta if they can do stuff caught me dramatically. I don't remember that strip. I'm usually pretty tame when it comes to that sort of stuff. Was that during Ralphie to the Future? I mean, Sammy to the Future? Sequel to Sammy, I barely... You know, the sequel to Sammy to the Future, that's the one set that I did, that one storyline, time travel storyline, where I didn't plan out everything in, I think it was the end of a book, and I hadn't done too much with time travel in that one, and I decided I was going to do it, and I that was the one storyline which I barely remember because it was so badly written. It wasn't as good as the others. I think I was trying to get done with the book, and ended up just rushing that storyline to get something for the end of the book. I should go back and read all those again. It's been forever since I really sat down and read them. When I did read them the last time, I started laughing at some of them because I didn't remember them at all. Yeah, I like Sammy the Future. I like the Infinite Ralphie. I think was a good storyline too. Which is another time travel story. But that I think is the end of book 6. I think book 5. I like the asteroid storyline. I kind of like the stuff with the Greys and Elvis, where they're flying around, and I like all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff in there that gets dated, though. I mean, even though they were old shows when I was making fun of them, and now they're really old shows. I'll make a tongue for him, and then I'm done with his head. Mad at myself because I bought the third first and I went to read them chronologically. I bought a lot first a couple days ago, and I tried to read some of the early strips, and I was probably too harsh. Well, those early strips, especially the ones from college, are pretty. I think really it comes into its own towards the middle of the second book. It took me a while to find my voice. It jumps around the timeline so much too that it, you know, it's not the easiest strip in the world to jump into. How did you even discover Melon Pool? I mean, I haven't heard a peep out of that website in years. Okay, cool. All right. Well, his head's done, which is great. His eyes might not be focused in quite the right position. Let me fix those. I think it's neat. Oh, there we go. Oh, I see. Okay. No, I think we're good. Sometimes it's almost impossible to get these eyes lined up in the right spot. Okay, I think I'm done for tonight. I think I got everything on this head ready. I think I've figured out everything I can about melon right now. All righty. Well, cool. I will. I'll try to catch you later, Chase. I have to think about whether I'm going to do melon pool tomorrow, but I may. I may do a good chunk of drawing tomorrow. Try and get that thing going again because you've inspired me to at least look at it again. All right. I will talk to you later, and I'll be back on tomorrow. Bye.